Heal Squad, it's Kelsey, and it is Love Week here on the show. It's Valentine's Day week, so we are rounding it out with the one and only Dr. Laura Berman. We talk about how you can manifest your dream partner. She talks about how to get your body into that energetic frequency where you can manifest that dream partner. It is possible. We talk about her grieving journey from losing her son and how she processed grief and how she still is processing it. This is such a special episode. I'm really excited for y'all to listen. Happy Valentine's Day week, whether you have a partner or you do not. It's all about you, baby. Celebrate and share this episode with a friend, someone who you think could benefit. We are so grateful for you and thank you for everything. Also, last ask, if you're listening, you're watching, and you haven't hit subscribe, it really, really, really means the world to us. It helps us so much, and then you'll always get notifications of all our amazing shows to come. So hit subscribe and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Better Together. When you know better, you get better. That's what we do here every single day. I have no idea what that all was.
We're doing great. Everything's fine.
Our quote of the day: you have a choice every moment of the day to open yourself up. And when you do that, it opens the channels of love. Dr. Laura Berman said that. Heal Squad, hello. Welcome back to Better Together. Today we're going to be chatting with my friend and leading expert in the field of sex and relationship therapy, Dr. Laura Berman, about the come down from Valentine's Day, attracting the best partner and dating in this current landscape. She has some big things to tell us, which is very exciting. If you haven't read her book, Quantum Love, it's so good. Have you read it, Kelsey?
No, I want to read it after doing the research. Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And I mean, she's super, super talented. Friends, we're in the studio with Dr. Laura Berman. She walked in with gifts. So Kelsey and I both got from Dr. Laura Berman, Intimate Basics, which I didn't realize you had a line, but now I have to remember. I think it was the first time I met you, you gave me, I think they were panties with something.
Oh yeah, the vibrating panties.
Vibrating panties.
Yes.
I was dead. I was so shy. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But so she walks in with this thing. It's called the Athena Waterproof Mini Massager. It looks like a little flashlight.
Yeah.
And I said, I go, what is this? And she goes, it's a vibrator. And I go, do you put this whole thing inside of you? Like, what goes on? And she goes, no, it's for your clitoris.
Fall.
We're all dying. And I'm like, thank God. I would have probably had to go get it surgically removed if I tried it.
You could put it inside if you wanted to, but it's for the outside.
That is hilarious. What advice, because I know you and Kelsey had a really good chat before this, talking about how a poor Valentine's Day could lead to good things. Mm-hmm. So if somebody out there had a lackluster Valentine's Day, whether their partner just didn't, show up for them in the way they wanted to, or maybe, they weren't able to be together, or maybe just someone disappointed you, what advice do you have to turn that into a positive?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two ways we can attack this, right? One is when something isn't working in your relationship, how do you communicate that to your partner? And just put a pin in that for a second. The other is specific to Valentine's Day. So that is about like getting really, really clear on what didn't work for you, right? So maybe they blew it off. Maybe they did something, but, they just stopped at the drugstore and picked up, a plastic rose and brought it home on the way home from the gas station when they were getting gas.
Oh my God.
You were expecting.
Oh my God.
Are you having deja vu?
Trigger. No, first of all, I had to apologize to Kevin for shaming him for getting me gas station roses, because I was like, we haven't done Valentine's Day. We never celebrated holidays and stuff like that forever. And then the last couple of years, I was like, I want flowers. And then recently I said something. It was, sometimes you say something stupid and like unkind.
Yeah.
And I did. And it had been bothering me. And I kept thinking, I got to say something to him, because I didn't care whether he was going to hear the episode or not. I just knew I said something really unkind.
Yeah.
And, you get distracted. Something must have happened when I was about to. And he brought it up and I'm like, oh my God, wait. I'm like on my mom. Like, I really wanted to apologize for this. He goes, no, you don't have to say that. He goes, I believe you. But I was saying I shouldn't be, the gift is the gift that someone is giving it to you. It doesn't matter where they got it from.
Well, it doesn't, except if like they blew off Valentine's Day and they're like, didn't even think about it. And then they're just like, you know what? I'm getting gas. Okay, fine. Like it's not so much that the flowers were from the gas station. They can be from anywhere, right? It's about, and that's what I'm always saying to people about Valentine's Day. It's about the thought that goes into it. I mean, yes, some people are really superficial and want the biggest bouquet of flowers to show their friends or whatever. But most people, it's not about how much money you spend or where you get what you get. It's that you were thinking about that person and you were putting some effort and thought into it. You know, you could just write them. My husband, you know, when we got married, he loves aspen trees, and we eloped in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where there were all these aspen trees, and we were hiking, and he had taken some bark that was peeling off the trees and saved it, and then for years, until he ran out of bark, he would write me poems on these little pieces of aspen tree bark that we got on our honeymoon, and that was like, you know, didn't cost him anything. It was such a sweet, thoughtful gift. And so I don't think it's so much where and what you do, it's the thought that goes into it. So if you're disappointed, getting really, really clear on what you would want. And this is especially true for women in relationship to men, but it's true either way. But especially when we're talking about men, anytime you have a constructive criticism or something, it's really important to focus on what you want. Right? It's not enough to just complain about the problem. You have to say how you feel, say the story behind what you feel, and very importantly, what you want, right? So in the case of the gas station flowers, like, while I really appreciate that you got me flowers, I just want to be honest with you that for me, Valentine's Day, you know, yes, flowers are beautiful and I love flowers, but what I really love is the thought that you put some effort and maybe some advanced planning into it. So what I would really love is the next time you get me a gift, it doesn't have to be, you know, it can be gas station flowers again, it's fine, but I really want to feel like, you know, maybe you did it a week in advance or you were thinking ahead, because when you do that, it makes me feel like you're thinking about me and you're wanting to celebrate me and you're putting an effort in.
Yeah.
But I think Valentine's Day, you know, and this time after Valentine's Day is a great time to make relationship resolutions in general. What kinds of ways do you want to shift and upscale the ways that you show up for each other and the ways that you nurture your relationship? You know, we make New Year's resolutions, but this is a great time to make, you know, relationship resolutions.
Don't you think, though, you know, the reason I liked that Kevin and I never really celebrated these kind of things, by the way, $24 billion was spent on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So when I run for president, I'm going to cancel 1 year of Valentine's Day and allocate that money to the places that need it.
Oh, that's a good platform. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. I have another vote.
Yes,
okay,
of course.
That makes 3.
I got 3 votes now. I thought that was pretty clever.
It is.
But you know, the reason why I was happy we never did it is because I feel like I just watched so many people be disappointed, and they could have a great partner, a great person. For example, who could be better than Kevin? Kevin does everything all day, every day. And so if he's not that type of guy that, I mean, Kevin doesn't like order things like that. Like, he's not going to go online and find a flower company and order flowers. This is not what he does. He will build me a house.
Yes.
He will build me a studio.
He's an act of service guy.
Exactly.
Not a gifts guy.
He loves giving gifts, but it's like a different kind of thing. Like, he'll take you to the store and like buy things for you. You know, he's not somebody who's going to go out alone and do it. But you must be someone
who, you know, I'm sure you've talked a million times about the love languages, right? Gifts, acts of service, physical affection. So, you know, the reason it works is because I'm sure you like gifts, but for you, that feels like love, the acts of service he does. So if you were someone for whom acts of service, and that's probably because your dad is an act of service guy, right? And you saw that growing up, and that's how you kind of metabolize love. That's your love language. So it's perfect that that's who your husband is, right? But if you were someone who was a gift person, and he was an active service person, you would be saying, I love that you build me houses and studios and everything else. But, you know, what really makes me feel loved is when you take the initiative to pick out something that you know I would love.
But then I would feel so bratty because I do love gifts, but I get them from my other boyfriends. I always joke that I have like different people in my life that spoil me in those ways where it's like, I don't need it from him.
That's perfect.
Like my lawyer always gets me the best gifts. He's like my brother. He's my family. Yeah. For 20 years, he has given me the greatest, most memorable gifts every year. I use everything he's ever gotten me, whether it was like this like cashmere throw blankie that I traveled with all the time, my little Rimowa suitcase, like whatever it is.
He's a gift person.
He's a gift person and he thinks it through.
Yeah.
And he gets the bombest gifts, like jaw-dropping stuff. So I guess like God gave me another Kevin. His name is Kevin too.
Who gives
God
you the
gave
gifts.
me another Kevin to give me those gifts.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes like if you were someone who really loved gifts, you know, and that was not that you don't love gifts, but that is how you feel love. Like when someone gives you gifts. I mean, everyone loves gifts, but whether it's a sign of and a sensation of love, like this is how I experience love is through the thoughtfulness of gifts, which you're not, right, per se. But if you were, I had always advised, you know, make a list, send links. Like I do that to my husband.
Do you really?
Yeah. You know, whenever I see something I like, I just sort of shoot him I don't even say anything. I just shoot him the link on a text. And I was like, oh, this is really pretty. And I know that, and you know, there's a whole array of things.
But isn't it hard because you could buy it yourself?
Yeah.
So that's where it gets challenging for me because I'm like, our money is pooled. I can buy it myself. So
could.
Like, why make it hard?
Well, it's usually, I have this thing about buying myself jewelry. I don't know why.
You won't do it.
I don't really do. I mean, I'll buy crystals and things like that, but really nice jewelry or something that's like on the higher end, I wouldn't really splurge on myself.
I'm the same way. I won't buy expensive things. Kevin makes me.
Yeah. So I send him the links. And Kevin is basically doing that for you when he makes you. My husband wouldn't make me. He would, you know, he has a list of things, you know, I'm sure. I don't know how organized he is with it, but but I send it to him just so he gets the feel and knows what I like and knows what my taste is at present. And when he wants to buy a gift, he can.
Yeah. But that's why I can't, like, even though I think that, you know, as I got older and more sentimental, like I've become more of like, oh, I would love like thoughtful gifts at Valentine's Day, right? But then, you know, we're at the store and I'm trying on shoes and I was like, I have all these like trousers that need a flat, cool shoe. I'm trying on all these shoes. I've narrowed it down to 3. He's like, let's get them all. And he takes them all and he goes to the register and I'm like throwing up in my mouth at how much it's going to cost because I would never, and by the way, in my entire career, and I've done very well for myself.
Yes.
The max I would buy is 1 expensive shoe. Like I've never bought 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forget 3. And now I keep looking at them. I'm like, which one can I return?
You're still,
I can't
so you
do
have a hard time receiving.
I have a hard time spending money on things like that, right? Because it's just too, because I'm still that poor girl in my head that can't afford it, even though I can. It's like, oh, no. What if something happens?
Yeah.
And I need,
well, you can always return the shoes then.
I know. It's hard.
I know it is hard. And it's the same thing with me with jewelry. Like I can't, it's still coming from the same pot when he buys it for me, but there's something about him buying it that it doesn't count.
Okay. So I'm not the only one.
No.
Okay. So if you are disappointed, it's about being clear with what you would want in the future.
Yeah. And I also think that Valentine's Day and like around this, and this is how I feel about New Year's resolutions too. I never make, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to do more of this or less of that. The same thing goes for love. If you have to get really, really clear, less on the specifics and more on how you want to feel. That's really anything we want is really about how we want to feel. Whether it's that car or that house or that job or that relationship, we're seeking a feeling. So if you start with the feeling, like for me, when New Year's came, and I was thinking about resolutions, I made my feeling resolutions. What I want this year is to feel more joy, peace, and connection. That's those are my themes. So that becomes my compass when I make a decision. Am I going to drive to Encino and hang with Maria and better together? Like, how does that feel inside me? Does that create feelings of joy, peace, and or connection? Yes, it does. So I'm going to say yes. And I seek opportunities in general to cultivate that feeling inside myself, because the more of that feeling, the more my body moves into the frequency of that feeling. And that's what starts to create our reality from a quantum perspective, from a law of attraction perspective. It's our body's frequency that's setting, from when we've talked about this before, it's our body's frequency that's really creating our reality. Mm-hmm. So when you want your partner to show up for you differently, or maybe you're single and you want to find someone, it's less about the specifics you're looking for, but how do you want to feel? And then cultivating more and more opportunities to experience those feelings in life and in your relationship. And then your partner automatically kind of moves to match you, because that's what we do. We're human tuning forks matching each other.
Yeah. Okay. So explain step by step exactly how to access those feelings and then, align with them so that is what kind of manifests and we attract.
Okay, so let's choose a feeling. What's a feeling that you want to feel in life or in love, since we're in the Valentine's Day mode this year?
I mean, joy and love. Like, I want to feel loved and I want to feel joyful.
Okay. And is there anything else, like playful, adventurous, excited, passionate?
I like adventurous.
Adventurous.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have adventurous, loved, and joyful, right? And so then the key is, you choose one of them. Pick one of the three, just to use as an example.
Adventurous.
Adventurous. Okay. So what we're going to do now is move your body into the frequency of adventurousness. So this is a really easy way to do it. You close your eyes, take maybe 2 deep breaths, and imagine light flowing in through the top of your head, filling every cell. And as you breathe out, it shoots out your tailbone, kind of creating roots into the earth, because this is kind of a grounding.
God. This is the grounding exercise you taught me.
Yes.
Do you know how many times I do it and it changes my life? Guys, go back. Actually, Kelsey, put in the summary our last episode with Dr. Berman and that rooting exercise. Maybe we just edit that out and put it in like our social, like in a reel for everybody. Because
I love that.
Or maybe I'll just have you do it again, because holy shit, I walked
really
into
good.
meetings and Kevin goes, something was different about you. And
You're
I go,
grounded.
People knew. Everybody in the room knew.
Yes.
They're like, your energy's amazing right
Yes.
now.
Let's do it again. I want to learn.
Yeah. And so, okay, so I am taking light from above. I'm
flowing through every cell as you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, it shoots out your tailbone deep into the earth like roots of a tree. And this grounds your energy. Otherwise, we're like ungrounded electrical cords, right? So this is how we start to move into and control our body's frequency. So take a couple of breaths like that. And then
when you breathe in, you suck the light down, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about what color, like any color you want. So what color are you seeing as you breathe in? Because that tells you a little bit about where you are today and what.
Pink.
Okay. So pink is sort of beautiful. That's the color of love, but it's also a lot about the root chakra, right? It's the red of the root chakra. So it's about really wanting to feel safe and grounded today. So you take a deep breath in, you breathe it through every cell of your body, and then shoot it out. And if you really want to be grounded, you're going to like this one, Maria. On your next breath in, open your yoni, your vagina, really, really wide as you breathe out.
How do you do that? You
do
just
it right
push?
now. You yes.
Okay.
Open it. Can you open it?
Oh boy. There we go.
Yeah. And then when you go, and then leave it gently open.
Oh my God, that feels so weird.
Right. Because most of us are walking around tight-assed. Right?
Oh my God.
But this is how you ground.
Whenever I've done the grounding exercise, you know what I've always done is I go to different parts of the world. So I lay my root down, and then the tentacles of the roots, I go like up the coast to Seattle and across to Chicago and over to New York.
Geographical.
And then I go to Antarctica, and then I go all the way over to Greece, and then I put my roots all over the world. And it feels really cool.
It does. And it also makes a lot of sense because your roots, just like a tree, are twice the reach of your branches. So what you're doing is creating a universal global reach, which is perfect because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So from this grounded place, right, now we're grounded, we're going to move your body into the frequency of adventure. So what you do is I find it easier to do when you close your eyes and you think of, just in your mind, it can be real or imagined, a scenario with Kevin, since we're talking about love and adventure, where it would feel like you're having a really amazing adventure together. So maybe it's something you already did together. Maybe it's something you imagine doing together. Yep. You got it?
Yep.
Okay. So go there in your mind's eye as if it's happening right here, right now, in this moment, in first person. So you aren't watching yourself in the scene. You are in it.
How do I do that? Because I only see the scene.
Okay. Will you see yourself in the scene?
Not really, actually. I'm in it.
All right, you're in it.
Okay,
right.
Got it. That's a good distinction, though.
Yeah. So you are in the scene, like you could see your feet or your hands or him, right? So be there for a moment in your mind's eye as if it's happening right here, right now, in this moment. Like, because your brain and your body don't know the difference between reality and rehearsal. So what you're doing now, just notice what you feel in your body and where you feel it as you're in that scene, and see if you can describe it to me.
I feel like my heart's pounding.
Yeah. So your heart's a little quick because it's adventure and exciting, right?
Yeah, like I'm a little out of breath.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you feel? Anything in your belly?
I felt butterflies.
Yeah. Good.
It's funny because I'm in Italy and we're running around Rome.
Yeah.
So no wonder I'm out of breath. Oh my God.
And you're yawning because that's energy releasing. That's when we yawn. Okay, so what you're feeling now in your body is the energetic frequency of adventure and love for Maria, right? And the goal is and you can open your eyes now if you want to, or you can stay there, but the goal is to move into that feeling as much as possible, right? So when you meditate or if you have a moment in traffic, you don't have to close your eyes. And you can come up with different scenarios. But as you...
I'm processing.
Yeah, you are processing a lot. But as you do that, you're actually moving your body into the energetic frequency of adventure and love. And then Kevin automatically matches you there because he's energetically entrained to you. We're all like these human tuning forks matching each other, but what usually happens is we just match everyone else around us. We don't set the frequency. But when you set that frequency inside yourself, even if you're doing it a couple of times throughout the day, you'll start to see that you are calling in, attracting in more experiences that create a sense of adventure, that Kevin will suddenly come up with an adventurous idea. And then it starts to happen in your reality because our reality always matches our frequency. That's the law of quantum physics.
Our reality always matches
our body's energetic frequency.
That's why it's so important to have your clean energy, clean frequency.
Yeah, and be clear on what our frequency is set by our feelings, right? So our conscious and unconscious feelings are setting our body's frequency, and our feelings are created by our thoughts and beliefs, right? We don't have a feeling without a thought or a belief behind it. And so getting clear on how you're consciously and unconsciously feeling, the stories you're telling yourself, about your life, about what's possible, about what's happening around you, the lens that you're wearing as you look at your partner or you look at your life is creating really your feelings. And then those feelings have a frequency. So feelings of guilt, shame, anger, frustration, hatred, those are very low frequency feelings. In fact, shame and guilt is the lowest, right? Once you start moving to curiosity, excitement, which is what the frequency of your adventure was, joy, forgiveness, bliss, those are the higher frequency emotions. And if we can stay there 51% of the time, don't have to be there all the time, your entire life changes. And then you can get really specific also with specific things you want. I mean, I just manifested a ski trip with my family, which was not going to happen. And they made very clear it wasn't going to happen. And I was like, okay, it's not going to happen. No one can get themselves together to go, but it is going to happen.
Wait, so you did the voodoo?
I did my little voodoo where I just I saw myself on the slope with them and on the chairlift and, skiing and like there's something about it. I think it's because that was like a big family thing for my family growing up, that it just gives me so much joy to ski with my kids. And then next thing I knew, it wasn't a big deal.
And they didn't want to go. No one wanted to go.
Well, they wanted to go, but I have school and it was just like logistic COVID. It was just logistics. And they were like, let's just go next year. And I was like, we're going this year.
And so how often did you have to do this manifesting process?
This wasn't a big deal. This was something that happened rather quickly, actually.
But that is a big deal for people, right? Because I always say, like, if we actually use the powers within us, we could do so much.
Yeah.
And so it's a good example of that. So how long do you think you did?
I think it was about a month from the time they told me, we had this conversation, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, he doesn't have school this weekend, Friday. Why don't we go skiing? And this all of a sudden,
last minute.
Yeah. And they're like, yes, let's go. Because all of a sudden there was the calendar. He had a free day. I was like, let me just check. And it wasn't a big deal. I mean, we went to Big Bear. It's not like we went out west extravaganza, but I was like, let me just see what Big Bear has that's ski in, ski out. Oh, how interesting. They have a house that's right on the mountain this weekend. Everyone, just all kind of fell into place, and everybody said yes. And we just went. And I was like, oh, I manifested this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if people really know how to manifest.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's what we're talking about with so we get, what I had to get clear on is how do I want to feel, right? Going skiing with my family, how does that feel inside my body? It's many feelings at once. It's connection, it's play, it's joy, it's aliveness. I could name a million feelings. But what I did is I went into the same thing I just took you through, and really I was on the slopes with them, and all those feelings were going on. And then I just kept envisioning it, and as if it was happening right here, right now, moving my body into the frequency of a ski trip with my family, basically, that energetic frequency of what that would feel like in my body, envisioned it, asked for it. Whether you call it praying, asking the universe, making a request to the cosmic waitress, whatever you want to call it. And I would just kind of make a practice of that whenever. Sometimes it was for 2 minutes. Sometimes it was for longer than that if I felt like it. But I just kind of made that a little daily or every couple of day commitment for a month.
And then boom.
And then boom.
So when you ask, how do you ask?
I've asked a lot of different ways through the years. I like to always have the theme of this and something better, because I know that God, Spirit, Universe, whatever your thing is, has, can think of such a better scenario than we could ever make up in our own minds. So I really like to focus on the feeling and the experience I want to have. And so I'll say, for me, it's evolved to the point at first, I've really evolved my spiritual connection, being more two-way. You and I have talked about this over the past couple of years, much more so than I ever did before. So I would say more recently. In the beginning, it was just like asking the cosmic waitress, literally. There was no sense of like God, spirit, two-way spiritual connection. And it still worked. Right now, there's a much more personal relationship with spirit. So for me personally now, I'll say, God, loved ones, angels, ascended masters. I even add in my son, sweet, sweet Sammy, is what I always end up saying. Sweet, sweet Sammy. I'm calling all of you in to surround me. And sometimes I do that every morning, and I'll just say what I want to manifest that day. And it's usually like, I really am calling in feeling of connectedness to you, and I want to feel love and flow, and I'm really excited, to manifest whatever it is. And I'm going to move myself into the state of that which is already happening, and I ask for your assistance in making this a reality in my field.
I like that, because I feel like with the studying I've done of manifesting with Esther Hicks, you have to ask in a specific way. So when I'm praying, I'll always ask like, please continue to flow an abundance of love and health and finances and things that, like that. So I always say continue to flow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because that means it's already here.
Yeah.
And there's no lack, because they say you can't come from lack.
No. Well, being in the lack, it's more being in the lack. Like I want, I need, anytime we say that, it's coming from a place of lack, right? And so that's, I think, what they mean, right? And when you say continue the flow, then you're in the energy of it's already here, it's already happening. And you and I have talked about this too around being in the pause, right? So I'll often, like, if I don't know what wants to happen, but I know something is going to happen, I will ask for assistance calling that in and what kind of qualities I want it to have, whether it's something in work or relationships or whatever else it is. I'll call that in too.
Yeah. I've been doing Joe Dispenza's program, The Formula. Have you heard of it?
I know Joe Dispenza's work, but I don't know the formula. No. Is it his little manifesting formula?
It's a meditation. I guess manifesting's a part of it technically, but it's unbelievable. It's like game changing. And one of the things in one of them is, you're calling in is it the feeling? Yeah. You're calling in the feelings of what it is that you want. And so, you have to feel those feelings as if they're happening currently right now. Because like you said, your brain and
your body,
don't know the difference between reality and perception.
No.
So then if you're calling in those feelings of, say you're trying to manifest a guy in your life and you're feeling his presence, you're feeling him hug you, like you have to create the movie in your life of you and this person and what they're going to look like and what they're going to feel like and what it's going to be like as if it's happening. And then explain from there the quantum physics of how this all works.
Yeah.
So you're feeling all the feelings. Like I will go from, having a complete healing and having the doctors tell me that I completely melted my tumor and I'm all healed completely. I'll manifest holding my babies. I used to have my mom and dad holding them, the craziest thing. And then at one point, I would only see my dad.
Aww.
And I would get so mad and I would try to force her in the picture and she couldn't come in the picture. This is before she died.
Well, she's working on the other side. That's why you couldn't see her.
No, it was before she passed.
I know, but you knew on some level that she was, when the babies came, she would be on the other side helping them come through.
Isn't it unbelievable?
Yeah.
And so anyhow, so now I just see me holding them or me and Kevin and so I'll feel those feelings of what it's going to feel like. So then I explain to everybody kind of that process of why we're doing that and how it all kind of works in the quantum world.
Well, I'll just give you a really simple example. There was this really cool study where they had people exercising their finger to make it stronger. And then they had another set of people imagining exercising their finger, but not actually moving their finger. And then they tested everyone's finger strength and it was the same.
Stop it.
I'm not kidding. And they've shown this with piano, practicing playing the piano, imagining practicing the piano. So there's all kinds of evidence out there that what we imagine and move our bodies into the frequency of. Actually, if there was a great study where they took a whole bunch of elderly men, who were in their prime in the 50s, and they took them to this remote location and they set the whole thing up like it was the 1950s. Music, decor, everything. It was like they walked into a time warp. And after a couple of weeks, these guys who were very decrepit, heart conditions, were playing like football in the yard, because they basically moved into the reality like it was the time that they were 18.
They moved in time and space.
Yes.
Because everything's happening at the same time, past and future.
Yes.
Wow.
And so that's just a little background to kind of give you a sense of how real this is. And so what is actually happening when you move into those visualizations, very key, first person here and now, right? Because that is the key to moving to kind of tricking, let's just say, your brain and your body into that reality, right? And we're constantly creating our reality. We just don't realize it. And so every feeling we hold is setting a frequency. And most of us, myself included, I had to learn how to stop doing this. Anyone, because I'm a recovering codependent, anyone who tends toward codependence is or people pleasing, or is matching everybody else's frequency. That's what they talk about when they say that moods are contagious, or because we're just matching everyone else versus holding our own, literally and figuratively. So when you practice on a regular basis, moving into your imagination, first person here and now, you are literally moving. Our bodies are vibrating atoms that hold a frequency. We're not solid, even though we seem solid. That's just what we can perceive with our five senses. But everything around us and us are vibrating atoms that are constantly changing frequency. It's like an old-fashioned radio dial of volume and station, right? And so how intense that feeling is and what the feeling is, it's constantly happening. Most of us are unconscious of it. And so the key is getting conscious. When you get conscious of it and you proactively move your body into that vibration, that's what's happening when you go there in first person. And then there's no separation on a quantum level or on an atomic atom level between me and you. We're all part of the same quantum soup, quantum field. And this is why quantum physicists who do their experiments leave the room, because they're
affecting it.
Yeah, their conscious and unconscious beliefs and stories, thus the energy that their body is moving into, is accidentally creating the reality. So if he thinks or she thinks that the experiment is going to turn out a certain way, that's how it turns out on the quantum level. That's what led to all of these discoveries, is that they realized they were accidentally affecting the outcome with their conscious and unconscious thoughts and feelings about what was going to happen, their expectations of what was going to happen.
So, in our need as humans to always be right, the thoughts that we have, we will manifest them. If we're like, he's going to cheat on me.
Yes.
We can actually create that.
Yes, because you're thinking he's going to cheat on me. That is creating in your body fear, anxiety, expectation. On a logistical level, you're probably acting pretty suspicious and aggressive and not, so that may actually do something. But on the quantum level, you're moving your body into the space of he or she who is being victimized and cheated on. And you're accidentally creating that reality.
Whoa. Isn't this insane?
I'm mind blown in here.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense. But it's still wild to think about. Like, we can actually manifest. And we do manifest that stuff every day.
We are doing it. Yeah. We just don't realize that we're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not to say, that you ask for the crappy things that happen to you or that you quote unquote cause them.
Good distinction, because people always say that after.
Yeah, no. And I've, Lord knows I've had my fill of shitty things that have happened.
So how do you kind of reconcile the two?
Yeah, well, I am, a lot of the, first of all, I know that we can't possibly understand, like there's a greater thing happening. And I learned that mostly through Anita Morjani, who's such a beautiful person, and what she learned when she had her when she died and came back. And one of my favorite metaphors she talks about is that she says the only way she could explain what she saw is that there was the most gorgeous, humongous, magical tapestry, and she could finally see her thread. All the other threads she touched and all the ins and outs, how her thread was part of this huge picture that she couldn't even conceptualize in this body, right? But so I already understand that there's so much that, first of all, I fundamentally know and believe, I've lived enough now that which is right, I believe that which is right is always unfolding. Even those shitty things that are happening are serving us in some way. And I also believe, because I have found this to be true time and time again, not that I cause these things to happen to me, but that when God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is trying to move you in a direction, for your soul's purpose or your soul's growth that you signed up for, and you're resisting it, or you're not really listening, or you're not really getting the message, it'll scratch at the door at first, and then it'll knock, and then it'll knock a little harder, and then eventually, it'll just blow up the whole house. And I have found that most of the things that blow up my life, and I've had my share of them, what I didn't want them to happen. Looking back, I wish they didn't happen or didn't have to happen, but they moved me in the direction, looking back, that really served my heart and soul.
Yeah, that's the thing that is really hard for any of us to really understand. And I'm always I use the tool that I got from Tony, which is life is happening for us, not to us. It is a tool. There have been moments where I'm like, yeah, don't know how I can apply this to this situation, because I just will hear of a story that just knocks me off my feet. And I'm like, yeah, I can't apply it, but it is a tool. So when you think of the tough times for you, I mean, you've had an extraordinary loss recently. How do you apply that?
Well, with this extraordinary loss, you're talking about the death of my son just a little over a year ago. I could not tell you at this point how that serves me, right? Like, I don't know yet. I do have clues about it, right? I do see, first of all, after he died, I could not tell you why I did this. It does not make any sense. It is not my personality, even though I don't have filters. It is not my personality to be like bawling and snotting on television or on social media. But something told me that I couldn't ignore. And I was judging myself at the time. I was like, is this like exhibitionistic? Like, why the frick am I like crying on camera for social media? Like, but I just did. And I didn't know why I was doing it. And I just got an onslaught of people back saying the stories I heard of people who, just are so stuck in their grief, or don't know how to feel their feelings, or don't know how to be with their pain. I suddenly realized that, like, oh, that's why I did this, because there is a way in which me going through pretty publicly the worst pain that anyone could ever go through is freeing and inspiring and helping to heal so many other people. I can already see that. I can already see the way that his death has saved thousands of lives. I've heard from many of the people who didn't take that pill or had that conversation with their kids about fentanyl poisoning or something that made them stop after hearing Sammy's story. And I also am aware that only now I'm aware of how much fear I unconsciously lived in before. Not fear around safety, but fear around consequences of my actions. I would often, because I grew up in a very emotionally unpredictable and volatile environment, I never really trusted my instincts. I would always have this moment of tenuousness around, like, should I or shouldn't I? I was always ambivalent about things, and I didn't quite trust my gut as much as I wanted to. And I was always sort of wondering, am I making the right choice? And that wasn't really clear to me until now, when I'm not freaking, because the worst thing that could possibly ever happen has happened. Like the worst thing that could ever, it doesn't get any worse. No. So nothing, like after that, I'm not scared of any, like, I'm okay, fine. Like, I can survive anything. The worst thing has happened. There's nothing to be scared of anymore. And so what that's going to mean for my life moving forward.
And the people you touch.
And the people I touch and the decisions I make and the bravery with which I make it is probably going to be pretty cool.
Wow.
I would much rather have him here than have any of those things.
Yeah.
But I won't know until I see the tapestry.
Yeah.
What it all really means.
Yeah. Well, because everybody has their role, and whether we like it or not, when they leave us, there is something that can be had from it.
Yeah.
Right. There is good that can happen.
And And I know we signed, and I know we signed, we both, speaking of him and me, I mean, the rest of my family and the rest of the people he touched are their own story. But speaking for myself, you know, I know we signed up for this together.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't know it consciously, our souls knew that this was part of the plan.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have predicted it. And I sort of kick my soul in the arse for coming up with this plan.
Yeah.
But
yeah. What she's referring to is like, we all, like, there are a lot of people who believe like we come into this world knowing what we're going into.
Yeah.
And we
signing
choose.
up for some, not necessarily the specifics, but like, this is how I used to explain it to my kids. I remember when my mother died, which was the biggest loss any of us had ever had, but they were probably 5, 6. And they asked me, what happens when you die? And I was like, well, I can tell you my story, you know, who knows, right? But here's what I believe. I think that I know that we're souls having a human experience. We never die, and we choose to come back to be in this world as many times as we want. And we choose our families, and we choose our, you know, based on what we want to learn and what we want to experience. And one of my kids, Jackson, who's thankfully, who's still here, said, okay, so when you die, will you wait for me so that we can come back again together?
Oh.
And Sammy, the one that left, said, what do you mean learn? And I said, you know, mistakes we made or lessons we want to learn or things we want to kind of master. You know, we come back to have those experiences, and we choose our families based on that. And I'll never forget, this sweet soul looked at me and said, well, I must have had no problems in my last life because I got to have parents like you. And I think about that. I mean, that gives me so much comfort today because, you know, I know that he chose us and that he and I have a soul contract that still exists, you know, and I feel him all the time. I know he's one of my major guides and is going to continue to do that even more so as I open up those channels. So you'll have to ask me, you know, a year from now.
I know it's too fresh. It's hard. I know. We're still trying. I know it's like it took a long time to even try to establish connection again. I don't know how you felt after, but I felt so disconnected where I was like, we were so connected before, my mom and I. And I'm like, where is she?
Yeah.
She's just gone. And I have to ask you, and we weren't going down this path, but since we're going down this path right now, did you find yourself having like disappointed moments with people after this?
Yeah. In a million different ways.
Yeah.
What makes you ask that?
Just curious, because during the process and after the process, I would get so mad at myself for having any kind of expectation of anybody because I was so let down in so many ways. You know, there were amazing people, of course, too.
Yes.
But then you're like, wait, that was really not great.
Not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are we're very uncomfortable with grief and we're very uncomfortable with death, and people react really weirdly to it. And they disappoint because of that. And they are awkward, or they're insensitive, or they just hide, you know, and I try to, you know, I've really tried to understand that it's really not personal. It's about them and their feelings. But for me, that's another huge lesson that came out of Sammy's loss. I had to get really good at receiving because I was not good at that. I was always, you know, didn't want to be a burden and didn't want to, you know, I was more the giver than the receiver. But what I had to do was really realize that, yes, lots of people weren't going to be able to hang with it, weren't going to be able to deal with it. You know, that was on them. But then so many people were wanting to give to me, wanting to support me. And it was really hard for me to receive it. You know, I kind of cringed. Like a group of my girlfriends still, you know, became the name The Love Bubble, because every other Friday, It could be, there was 25 of them from all over the country. It could be 5 of them, 20 of them, 20, whoever could make it every other Friday would show up on Zoom in the love bubble for me.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
It was so sweet. And they still do it. And I was cringing in the beginning. You don't have to I know you guys are busy. You don't have to do this every other Friday. I just couldn't receive it.
Yeah.
And I really learned how to do it. And boy, was that a gift.
So isn't that interesting? You have people who don't know how to handle it and don't know how to show up. Then you have people who do, and then you don't know how to handle it. We're all just messes.
We're all messes. Yep.
Yeah. But I learned after that, and when you're in the middle of it, you're like disappointed and whatever, and maybe, whatever. But there's so many things to say, but I started to learn, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. They just don't know how. And that's okay. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I wrote a blog, like, describing, and something in Elephant Journal too, like what to do when a friend is grieving, because most people have no idea.
What were your top things?
Well, first of all, don't say, how can I help? Or let me know if there's anything I can do.
Because I'm not going to.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what could help.
Yeah.
Like, you're just in it. So show up, but don't force yourself in. So leave. I have one friend who just sent me a green heart on text every single day for a year. I had other friends who just left soup on my doorstep, or cookies, or a teddy bear, or whatever. I'm thinking about you. Let me walk your dog. I'm coming over to mow your lawn. Whatever it is, like, be of service, but don't make them ask, and don't expect them to welcome you in. It was real. I couldn't even talk for the first month to anyone, and I knew they wanted to be with me and come over and be around me. I was like, I'm under the covers. Like, I cannot talk to anyone. And understanding that, and I had one friend who would just show up she's like, I'm just coming by with a coffee. If you want a hug, I'm going to give it to you. If not, I'm going to leave it on your doorstep. And so showing up and leaving room to not take it personally when that person can't receive you or talk to you, I think was really important. Continuing past like that for the people that really like, you get all these flowers and food like the first 2 weeks, but then there were some people that 2 months out sent me a care package or flowers saying, I know that you've already gone through all the casseroles and the flowers, but I still want you to feel the love.
Yeah.
I thought that was really beautiful too.
I love that. Those are great tips. Okay, we need more tips. We're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about dating apps, because I heard you had some interesting things to say about dating apps in this day and age. And Kelsey, I'll let you also jump in here.
Heck yeah.
Being the young single one, perhaps kind of using them.
More recently now than ever. Yeah. I've
I met another guy for you yesterday.
I can't wait.
Hey.
Love
Okay.
it.
Carry on. I really like this one. Okay, go ahead.
Me or Laura? Oh, I was just going to say, Laura, when you and I talked about the dating apps, you had an interesting take, because you were like, you really feel like the dating game has shifted a lot since COVID. So I would love you to go into that. And then it's like, okay, since it has shifted, how can we use it to our advantage? And like, what are some things that we now need to, like, how can we pivot?
I'm going to kick back and have my water.
Well, I would say, first of all, the main way it's changed is that the stakes are higher for getting together, right? Because, the booty calls, the random hookups. If you're both vaccinated, it's not as big of a deal, but people are still wary about, getting exposed, so to speak, or doing the responsible thing. So I have found that a lot of people, that has died off a lot in terms of, there's still a lot of people that are looking for the booty calls, but that piece has died off. And also I find that so many singles were so isolated and had this like coming to Jesus moment when they were going through COVID, where they got really, really clear about what the life that they want to create and what they want. And so lots of people who were very happy to just like date around and have booty calls have realized, I really want my person. And they're willing to stand for that more than ever before, which I think is a great thing. So because of that, they're less willing to take the breadcrumbing, it's called, where you have like, a slew of people that you're talking to from the dating app, but you're not really pulling the trigger to get together with any of them. That's what was sort of happening before. Now I find that there's still the breadcrumbers, but a lot more people are like, you know what, cut the crap. Like, let's just meet. And I have always said, Kelsey, and this is true for you too, like you need to set your own standards with online dating. You don't have to play that game. And if you like someone and they, there's some rapport there, if they're in the same town with you, and aren't asking you to get together at least for a coffee or a walk within 2 weeks, bye-bye. Unless they're traveling the world or on the other side of the country, this like talking.
Oh, it's brutal.
You just set.
Do you find people do that?
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Well, what do they think? You need more friends?
Right? I'm like, are you just randomly texting me like, hey, what's up? I'm like, no.
Are they just lonely? Like, what's the deal?
They're not willing to commit because they have
too much eye candy.
Yes, too much candy, and what's the cream that's gonna? Let me keep this one breadcrumbing along while I see what's happening over here. Okay, she's still a contender, but no.
What are we at a supermarket looking at cereal?
That's what I mean.
Right?
So you have to say, listen, I think you're really cool. I love talking to you, but let me know if you want to get together. And meet, because that's if you and if they don't respond or they don't pull the trigger within a couple of weeks, move on.
Yeah.
And I think also, a lot of the profiles, like if you have have the pictures, they've done this research. It shows that really the women that attract the men who really want to date and settle down are more of the girl next door than the sex kitten. I mean, they're still sexy and beautiful, attractive, but
not trying as hard.
Trying as hard. And they could just as easy, their pictures are more like the girl next door than they are of the sexy Insta photo.
That makes sense.
Person.
Filtered.
Yes.
Huge butt.
I will be having you go through my profile pictures.
And if you say anything like, I love to have fun, or I'm really fun, that is code for booty call.
Yeah.
So then you'll attract in all the guys that are just interested in sex and not in a relationship.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you have to say you want a meaningful connection.
Yeah. And you, once again, like we were talking about with manifesting, you want to get clear on what you want in a positive way. Like, I'm looking for someone who playful, adventurous, loving, who is interested in a committed relationship. You don't say, I don't want any players. You say it in the positive, right? But and you have your profile pictures match that, and then you hold your boundaries. So they can't keep breadcrumbing you.
I like that.
I like that too. It's so hard. It's so wild. The breadcrumbing is so real.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you feel badly like ghosting or but it's like, I like what you said. It's like, just tell them. It's like, are we going to make a plan? Or are we not going to make a plan? And then if they don't, then it's move on.
Yeah.
Because that's the hardest, I think, on these apps.
God, I would die.
It's exhausting.
In this day and age.
No, I mean,
trying to date. Thank
but that's
God.
why I didn't do it for so long.
Yeah,
and now
I get it.
Finally, I'm like, okay, let's go. And I don't really know any other way to do it besides the apps, but it's exhausting.
I mean, is it still possible to meet people through people and not these apps?
Absolutely. You still should, reach out to every friend and colleague you have and say, I'm really excited to meet someone amazing. Same as you would say, write your little profile on the email, right? Like, this is what I'm looking for. Not, he's got to have this income and he's got to have this height and he's got to be this nationality and, not that stuff. More like, how, what kind of person are you looking for? What excites you about it? And how are you looking to feel, right? Like, I'm looking for someone who is these things, right? Mm-hmm. And then you say, if you know anyone, I am open. And you'd be surprised. I mean, everyone loves being a matchmaker. You're whoever, the receptionist in your office building may know somebody. So you never know. And it's also walking around. I know it's been hard in COVID times, but as things open up, it's really paying attention, which is not our tendency to, what they call turning your cab light on, like the energy of I am available. So instead of looking at your phone as you walk down the street,
Yes.
you know, you are looking up, you are smiling at people, you're smiling at the barista and talking and chatting with the doorman, not necessarily because you plan on dating those people, the doorman or the barista, but because you are engaged in the world, you're in the receptive energy, and the person that you want to date could be standing in line behind you, scared to talk to you, but sees how friendly you are and how open you are and feels that energy from you, and then reaches out to you. And also not to be shy or scared about shared. That was a good word. Not shy or scared about, initiating a conversation with someone attractive yourself.
Yeah. I like that.
I like that a
Kelsey's
lot.
put the antenna up. That's why I've been thinking about different guys for you. Although the guy I realized I thought of for you, I think he's a little on the shorter side, which is not one of your favorite things.
Yeah.
All right, let's find out what your things are, Kelsey. What's your must-haves?
My must-haves are someone who is successful. Like, I want someone who is not going to be like, oh my gosh, Kels, let's go party every night and screw your job. And so someone who gets it.
So someone who's driven. Do they have to be successful?
No,
or can they be driven and just know what they want? And
I like driven and know what they want and respect what I do.
Okay. So supportive of you.
Supportive of me.
Yes.
God, what else? Kind. I like very kind.
Yes.
I usually tend to go, because since I'm louder, I tend to go for the more reserved, quieter. They don't have to be, but who doesn't kind of people who will compete.
Lets you be the loud one.
Exactly. Lets me do my thing.
Yeah.
I like adventurous. I like, someone who's going to be like, let's go. Let's drive down to the beach and walk around or rollerblade.
So spontaneous.
Yeah.
I like the deciphering here. Okay, she's diagnosing. This is great.
She's putting it into real terms. Yeah. I like it.
So you want someone who's driven, who knows who he is, who's spontaneous, who's supportive, who's secure.
Yes.
Does he need to be a certain height or?
Since I'm taller, I tend to go taller.
How tall are you, Queen?
5'7", almost 5'7", yeah.
You got to be 5'8", because I'm 5'7" and 3/4. I think
close.
you're 5'8".
I'm 5'8". I'm tall.
Are you taller than me?
We're the same, I think. We're very close.
Okay.
But that is one thing. I don't mind shorter, but I do tend to go for taller. I just prefer it. But here's the thing I have a couple friends who are shorter who own it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't bother me. But when people know they're short and they act uncomfortable, then it's weird.
Yeah. So, or they have lifts in their shoes and stuff. Right. So if they own it, and someone can be on the shorter side and have the energy of 7 feet.
Exactly.
Exactly. So it's not so Maria, you were worried that the guy you met might be a little short.
But you know what? He hits all these other buttons.
Yeah,
he is a little more quiet, reserved, but loves adventure, loves Italy.
Okay.
Wants to live in Italy.
Okay.
So he's only allowed to take you to Italy when we're all moving to Italy.
Okay.
Just not before.
Deal.
We all go together.
Love that.
And yeah, from the East Coast. Good guy.
I like East Coast.
What do you like about East Coast?
They're straight shooters.
Okay.
It's funny because I grew up in the Northwest, but I don't want someone to beat around the bush. I respect I know if they like me and I know if they don't like me.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're also more apt to make plans and act. I don't know why. Northwest is very let's just chill. It's casual. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just chill.
Yeah.
Let's go do something.
So proactive and authentic, we want to.
I love this.
Are you writing those down, Kelsey?
No.
Because this is going to be important.
I'm about to go back and listen.
Authentic, supportive, not successful, but because, he doesn't have to have a gajillion dollars, but he could be getting there, right? So driven and secure.
Athletic.
Oh my God, I've watched so many girlfriends wait for the perfect. If he didn't make enough money, it was, and now they're all still single and they're 50 and
and you don't know. I mean, that's why it's important. Having someone who knows who he is and is driven and has a plan is almost better than expecting someone who has a certain amount in his bank account, because guess what? He could lose it tomorrow. True.
True.
So to have someone who's really driven and a go-getter and passionate about what he does in the world, I think is what you're looking for more, because
Yeah.
he'll empathize and understand your passions.
I really want someone to, I like that. And I would love you to put this into your terms, Dr. Laura, because I'm like, I have found, especially with people my age, no one asks questions. I'm always asking everyone questions, especially like guys, and then they won't ask questions. And I'm like, ask me a question. Like if I ever go on dates that like annoys
That's a bad sign.
it's a bad sign.
Well, because don't you want to know me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Don't you care?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I can conversate with anyone. I could talk to myself for an hour.
Yeah.
But like, no, ask me a question.
Yeah.
I can't, but you know what? I feel like I'm at the place where even just with my friendships, if we're not having like I can only talk about
Me
the
too.
superfluous like things for so long. Like I have to have a real connection and a real conversation. Otherwise I'm like, I can't do this
Me
anymore.
either. I have the worst. I literally say, I had to go to this event with my husband, and it was like, they were talking about toasters. And I mean, I don't even know what the hell they were talking about. And this woman starts talking to me. I'm like, listen, I'm really sorry, but I'm not good at small talk.
No way.
Yeah, I literally said, I was just like so fed up. I was like, if you want to have a real conversation, I am so game, but I cannot do this.
I love
I
that you said
respect
that.
Yeah. And she was cool. She went there with me.
God, I have people who want to do like big small talk.
Yeah.
So it's like small talk about big things. But I'm like, I want to die. You're like, I'm wilting. It's like water my flower. Give me something to hold on to. Let's talk about like a real thing in your life or a real thing in my life. I mean, forget that. Like if they're not even going to ask. I've been sitting at some of these dinners where I'm like,
I have no time for that.
yeah, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's true for a lot of people. And those are the people that you want to call in, Kelsey. So, you know, as I was taking Maria through this idea of manifesting, as you think about these words of how we're describing your perfect man, right? You're going to go into your imagination and into scenarios with him, even if he doesn't have a face yet, right? Or a form, but you're in these scenarios that are where he is showing up as adventurous and secure and fun and go-getting and driven, and getting really, really clear on how you feel inside energetically and physically as you're in those scenarios in your imagination, in first person, right here, right now. And that's what starts to call him in.
So exciting. It's really cool. It's like, I feel like oftentimes people think, and I know I've gone into it this way too, where it's like, oh, I want a date. I just want a boyfriend. Like it's like daunting, but it's actually really cool. And
It
like,
is.
It is.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, this sounds exhausting.
I know.
I can't imagine. Or like going through all these people,
either.
meeting them on
I mean,
dates.
it's tiring
And
for
then,
sure.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I think,
I
I'm
would just
so
move.
glad.
If something, God forbid, ever happened to my husband, I would just move out to a compound with my girlfriends.
Yes.
And be perfectly happy.
100 billion, jillion %. That would be it. There's no chance. I could not go through it. Also, I feel like we're too old now to like have to change for somebody else, because you kind of have to shift and change a little bit in a weird way,
Compromise,
whether you like it or not. It's like, well, this person likes this now.
Yeah.
Now I got to like go, oh my God, the thought of it makes me
Adjusting.
cringe. Yeah. Because then I would be like, well, Kevin was always good with this. Like Kevin was cool. And
What's wrong with you?
yeah. It would just not work.
It is an adjustment. Absolutely.
That's so funny. We covered a lot of ground today.
So much good stuff.
Guys, you have to listen to Dr. Laura Berman's podcast. It's called The Language of Love with Dr. Laura Berman. I was a guest recently.
You were.
We had a really great conversation. Her website is drlauraberman.com. Of course, you can get your little vibrator. Just don't put it inside of you.
You can. It won't get lost, but it is designed for the outside, that one.
This is the waterproof mini massager. No, Dr. Laura Berman Intimate Basics. Do you have a website for this, or is this
It's
on
on
your
my
website?
website on the shop. Yeah,
Cool.
Dr. Laura Berman. Or you can go, they're on Amazon or.
4 unique pleasure tips.
Yes.
That looks like it hurts.
I'm
no?
excited.
No.
So excited.
I mean, I'm sure it doesn't. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, as always. I love spending
you.
time with you. And we will put the episodes we referenced in the summary of this episode as well. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.